Hi everyone, Taylor Clark here with Weapons of Righteousness Ministries, and today I want to share with you the why behind Operation Bless the Blue, why I do this, and why I believe you should be a part of it. My background is in law enforcement. For those of you that are watching it that don't know me and don't know my background, I have about 10 years of law enforcement experience that began back in 2007 working for the Lynchburg Police Department in Lynchburg, Virginia. I started out as a cadet right after high school. After about a year and a half as a cadet, I went to the academy and then on to serve as a patrol officer there. After about 2.5 years of being in patrol, I was given the opportunity to be a dual purpose canine handler at the department and serve on their street crimes unit in that capacity. And about a year and a half into that time period of me being a canine handler, I was involved in a shooting where I shot somebody. And I won't go into the details of that shooting, but in the aftermath of that, I ended up leaving law enforcement, ended up giving up my dog and resigning from my position there and going out into the private sector. And after about 7 months in the private sector, I realized I wanted to go back into law enforcement, that I had left too early. And so the department that I had left, Lynchburg PD, they willingly accepted me back. And I worked for another 2.5 years until I gave it up again. And I left Lynchburg PD again. I was done with the job. I told my wife I was done with it. I had lost my why for why I entered the job in the first place. It wasn't worth it to me to continue doing that job with the time that I was away from my family, with the pay that I was getting at that time, and the danger that I was exposed to on a daily basis. It just wasn't worth it to me anymore. And so I left law enforcement. But about 5 years later, the Lord put a new vision in my heart to enter back into the job with a different vision and a different perspective. And that perspective was to be His minister in uniform, to be in submission to Him, to submit my authority that I've been delegated as a law enforcement officer and submit it to Jesus Christ and bring His light into the dark situations that I'd be entering into as a police officer. And so I entered back into law enforcement, and I was hired on at the Appomattox County Sheriff's Office in Appomattox County, Virginia. And I worked there for another 2 years. And it was during my last year that Operation Bless the Blue was birthed. And it was birthed out of not really a word from the Lord, not really anything supernatural. It was just a stirring in my heart, a desire to bless those deputies at the Appomattox County Sheriff's Office, the deputies that I was working alongside. And it just seemed right for me to do this. And so that year I was able to, not just me, but the partners that I had within Weapons of Righteousness Ministries, we were able to bless about 35, 36 deputies, full-time and part-time, at my department. Well, about 6 months after Christmas time, I ended up leaving that department and going in and accepting a job position somewhere else. But I continued Operation Bless the Blue. So the next year, Christmas of 2023, I included another department. So it became Appomattox County, the dispatchers and the deputies there, and Woodland Park Police Department here in Woodland Park, Colorado, and the officers and dispatchers that worked there. Now you might be asking yourself, why are you including dispatchers into this? And the Lord put that on my heart during the second year of this outreach. You know, dispatchers are really the first responders. You know, they might not be going there in person, but they are the first ones to receive the phone call, the 911 call from the person who needs help, that then dispatches the officer to the scene. I wanted to include them in the outreach because they are exposed to things, maybe not visually, they're not exposed to the same danger as being there at the scene, but they are hearing everything. They're hearing the cry for help. They're hearing people be beaten. Sometimes they're hearing people get killed on the phone. Sometimes they're hearing the radio transmission of an officer giving his last statement before he dies. And so our dispatchers need to be thanked and blessed every Christmas for what they do on a daily basis. And so anyway, I included them in the outreach. And so the second year we did this, Christmas of 2023, we had two departments and a total of about 74 officers and dispatchers. Then the next year I added two more departments. So Christmas of 2024, we not only had Appomattox County Sheriff's Office and Woodland Park Police Department, but we had Teller County Sheriff's Office here in Colorado. We had a Campbell County Sheriff's Office in Virginia. And this year, Operation Bless the Blue has included the Lynchburg Police Department, which is the department that I started at, so it's close to my heart. My family, my father worked there, my older brother worked there, one of my younger brothers worked there, so it's very close to our family, and so we are blessed with the opportunity to sow gifts of thanksgiving into those officers and dispatchers that serve Lynchburg City. And that brings our total up to 517 officers and dispatchers across 5 departments. And the vision of this outreach is that we bless every officer and every dispatcher within the United States with a gift package every Christmas. And I know that's a big vision, but I serve a big God. I'm a follower of Jesus Christ. And Jesus was the one who said that if you believe in me, all things are possible to the one who believes in me. That's what Jesus said. And so I'm choosing to believe in him for this vision. The reason why I do this each year is not because I make money off this. It's not because I bring in a huge salary for doing this. No, it's because it blesses and encourages the officers of the jurisdictions that we are able to partner with in this way, in a tangible way, for the community to say thank you for what you do on a daily basis. Thank you for putting your life on the line. Thank you for serving us, and we want to give back to you for what you do for us. It's a small sacrifice that we make financially or in our time to give back to you for what you give to us on a daily basis. The reason why I believe you should be a part of this is because they're serving you. I'm going to put this into perspective here, because there's people with various different types of thoughts about law enforcement and views on some people love law enforcement. Some people hate law enforcement. Some people would rather see a dead police officer than an officer that's alive. Some people judge their view of all law enforcement based on one encounter with a law enforcement officer. If a person has a bad encounter, if they get a ticket by a police officer, well, then they just don't like police anymore because that officer gave them a ticket or that officer was rude to them. I want you to step back for a minute and look at the whole picture. Take a 30,000-foot view of law enforcement as a whole. And I'm going to bring some perspective to this. You and I'm not in law enforcement anymore. If you're not in law enforcement and you've never done the job, I'm just going to give it a quick example of why we need to honor these men and women in uniform and why this is a great way to honor them. In your 1 hour of work, wherever you work, you make an hourly rate or you're paid a salary. And that salary could be, or that hourly rate could be $20 an hour, could be $30 an hour, could be $50 an hour. It doesn't matter. But in that 1 hour of work that you've signed up for, you've agreed to do what they've asked you to do. And in return for doing that work, you get a certain hourly rate. You get paid for it. Well, a police officer has an immense amount of authority that they're given, that they're delegated to exercise within their community. A police officer has the authority to not only take someone's rights away from them, but to take away their right to live. They have the authority, if need be, depending on the situation, to take another person's life. So in a 1 hour period of time for a police officer, in that 1 hour, many things can happen. Here recently, I saw body cam footage of 2 officers that were negotiating with a female who was on the sidewalk of, it looked like a pretty busy street, and she was holding a knife to the neck of a man. And they were communicating with her. They were about 10 feet away from her, maybe 10 yards away from her. I'm not really sure, but they were pretty close proximity to this individual. And these 2 officers were having to make a decision, a split-second decision under an immense amount of stress on whether to take this person's life to preserve the other person or to see if they can talk her down and get her to drop the knife. And the officer who eventually made the decision, he made the decision to shoot the woman in the head to save the woman, or to save the man whose life was in danger. Now, that officer was probably making between $20 and $30 an hour. In that pay rate, that 1 hour time period, that officer had to make the decision to take another person's life. Now, I want to ask you, the people that maybe don't have the best view of law enforcement, are you asked upon or required to make those decisions during 1 hour at your job? No, I can guarantee you're not, because you're not given the same authority that law enforcement is given. Law enforcement within a 1 hour period of time might be called on to go into a school and take out and kill a teenager who was killing other kids in there. A police officer during their 1 hour of work might be called upon to go to a house and have to work a scene where an infant has been either murdered or is a stillborn, has died. That officer in a 1 hour period might have to fight for his life with his hands or her hands. If you take it that perspective and you look at it that way, we need to be so thankful that there are men and women who are willing to put on that uniform and take that risk every single day so that you and I don't have to. And so that's why I believe you should partner with Operation Bless the Blue, because this is a tangible way for us to say thank you for risking your life for me. Thank you for dealing with the people that I don't want to deal with. Thank you for being a phone call away to come and enforce peace in a situation where chaos is reigning. In these gift packages that we give these officers and dispatchers, we include a $50 gift card to a restaurant. That's a tangible way for you to say thank you. Go and have dinner on us. So a $50 gift card is included in the gift package. We also include a biblically based book, a Christian book. This year it's a book on leadership. On top of that, we give a Christmas card from the ministry, from me, and I get to share the reason for Christmas, the true reason behind Christmas, which is the greatest gift given to mankind, Jesus Christ. So I get to share the gospel in these Christmas cards to these officers. And then there's an encouraging letter from a sponsor that's included in that gift package. So that's what you have the opportunity of doing for your local law enforcement if you live in those areas. If you don't live in those areas, you can still partner with us. You can still sow into these gifts. It just won't be for the officers in your area yet. And so I encourage you today to partner with Operation Bless the Blue 2025. I believe we still have around 200 officers and dispatchers that still need funding for their gift packages. If you're a business, I encourage you to show your support for local law enforcement through this outreach. Your business logo will be included in the Christmas card. And so every officer will know the businesses within their community that support them. If you're an individual, your name will be listed in that Christmas card as one of the contributors to the gifts given to every single officer. I want these officers to know that their community supports them, that their community is behind them and backs them and thanks them for the job that they do.